Okay, I think we are live now. Hello, I am IBX Toy Cat, and welcome back to another live stream on the internet. You are today joining me at the opposite of the end, whatever you call that, because I am going to my end, which is very funky after using it on so many different versions. You probably know this by now, but I have a pretty strange Minecraft world in more than a fair few ways, and one of the ways that it's strange is that I actually have a differently sized Xbox 360 end to a Bedrock end, and what this resulted in is this weird little gap between them where one overwrote the other, and so there were two things I could have done about this. I think that I could have just left it there as an artifact in the past. This is kind of what I did with my spawn end over there, but I figured a way more fun second idea would be to destroy it, and so today you're going to join me as I get back to this project, because if you're not expecting a live stream, I am back, at least temporarily. I am on a big round the world trip, but because of a wild story I'm gonna have to tell you about, because of a wild story, I've actually ended up back here in the UK. I don't have long, so I can't stream for a super long time, but I figured, like, I know that going through without stream would be a bit of a bummer, so it's something that I would like to still go through and do anyway. So, hello everyone, how's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful day. I know that I feel like it is fun that we are getting back to our, roots doing this on a Thursday. But I think that regardless, it's still kind of cool to be here and to have this moment where we get to, catch up in a little bit of a way. Because I've got all sorts of stories I'd love to tell about the stuff I get up to. But I am aware that I get all sorts of comments also saying, like, oh, Toy Cat, so why is it then that you're all the time, you always seem to be traveling, and it's a funny thing by itself. But yeah, basically, this is my big island here. I think I'm just gonna wipe out what I did over there to put it here. And so that's what we're going to do. We've got our gold and our beacon. You know, the portable beacon. It's carried us through so well for mining stone. And now it should go well for mining this too. So we'll place some down. I guess, ideally it would be lower down. But we'll see what up high does. And then we'll put that on there. And then I'll realize that I didn't bring any emeralds. But please tell me that I accidentally forgot to bring some again. Because this has happened before. Speaking of before, by the way, hello Harrison. Good to see you here. What are you up to today? Rather than destroying the island, why not just connect it back together? Oh, it's one of those ideas where, it sounds like a good one until you think about it. And if you sit here and you think about it, actually, it's not that big of a gap between these two things, right? And I've already got all this end stone from destroying it. Why not, shape it into being like a hollow shell? Just like I did with my end map. Actually, the obvious reason why not is all this glass. I've put all that glass over there. It'd be a shame to do it again. But actually, maybe I'm 3 minutes in and I'm questioning my life decisions already. Anyway, hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the live stream. I'm sorry you're getting all caught up and not focusing on what we see here. But yeah, how is it all going today? I hope you're having a wonderful one, by the way. I've just changed what we're doing in this live stream, but we'll keep the title the same anyway, because, we, again, a little bit of a hurry, not all the time in the world. I do feel a little bad, thank you, by the way, to all of the new members that joined during the pre-stream here, but I've got to say, I feel a little bad, because even though, the membership's entitled to a lot more than just the streams, there's still, a little bit of me that's like, oh, yeah, but, really, some number of people want that green name, and for you people, I'm glad you're enjoying your green names and your lovely badges next to them. Speaking of enjoying lovely badges next to them, Chantal says, tell us what you've been up to. Oh, sorry, I've not been telling the story? Okay, so, it's a really important story to explain why I'm here today, kind of maybe unexpectedly to some of you. So, to tell this story, I think I need to go quite far back in time a little bit. I think I need to go to London Bridge. I need to go to the year 2024 and my birthday, because you see, I was doing this thing where there was a bunch of, pubs we were going to. It's called pub golf. It's a very important part of British culture. Also, the beacon isn't actually beaconing, right? Am I crazy? I feel like I set it up, and yet my beacon effect was none. Unless it's up here only? Nope, it just... Is there no beacons in the end? Oh, you just can't see the effect. Why not? So I'm mining faster, I just can't see it. Weird. Anyway, yeah, so basically, to tell the story as fast and, as with only the most important details, we had to drink a separate, drink at every single one of these places, and it was a really wonderful little thing. It had all sorts of, it was a great game, but it meant that, oh, thank you! Thank you so much for the tip there, Charm Staff 74. Yeah, I hope you're desert well as well. Hope you're having a very lovely Desert World day. Just a fun reminder, by the way, if you want to tip via Streamlabs, it is the best way to ensure that the most goes to the streamers that you watch. YouTube Super Chat, I understand it's easier on some platforms, but it has a hefty set of fees that, like, not only does it have the fee that YouTube's like, yeah, we basically did that for you, so we'll take our 30%, but then they started in, like, 3 or 4 years ago, passing on, like, Apple's fee. So it's like, yeah, you know that $10 that someone said, here, we want to give that to you? We're going to give you, like, five-ish of that, maybe, pre-tax. And I think that's, like, perfectly fine. But it's always something I think is worth raising awareness for. Like, I think that so much of life works better when you're just informed, right? I think, some people love to live in a world where they're like, I will make the decisions for everyone about what they can and cannot do. But, as we all know, as Minecraft players, no one can tell you what you can and cannot do. Except for Toycat, of course, as I'm going to do right now. But sorry, to get back onto the story, I know that it seems like we've been getting a little distracted here, but we were going to 9 separate holes, and again, this is really crucial to explain why I'm here today. We went to 9 separate holes, getting a different drink for different, like, challenge at each of these. I think we should, like, kind of move it outward by a block each time. So we'll start with just something like this, and we'll make it fancier later. But yeah, we started with 9 separate holes, and after maybe a few too many drinks, I went past this bin with my friend, and I've seen there's rats around here all the time. London Bridge is like a common area of the city. It's like a big transport hub. Northern Line, Thameslink, and Jubilee all here up there together. Got a lot of friends in all of those lines. So it's like, I was there and I was like, oh yeah, this is where the rats are. And I mentioned it, and one of my friends is like, free pets. And I was like, that is a genius idea. I should go and get that free pet. You're totally right there. And yeah, basically, I managed to pick up the rat in midair. And a crazy thing you might not realize is that he did bite me, and I had to go to the hospital, which really ties into this, like, incredibly important story about when I was in India recently. If you want to follow along with what I've been up to travel-wise, you can follow me. I would say partially on Twitter, but Twitter's definitely become the, like, at best you could say ideas place, and at worst you could say mildly politically charged ideas place, I think would be the politest set of words that I could conceivably use. So yeah, I think we're going to have the end island, like, come up towards this here. But yeah, so basically, yeah, I did go to the hospital, but I did make everyone's night. So everyone there was like, this is ridiculous. I'll grant you that. But it is also hilarious. And I've got to say, that's something that life needs sometimes. There's people who are just totally fully aware of, I think life needs some people who are, like, I've been introverted most of my life, but life does need a little bit of, like, extroverted energy every now and then, which is to say, just being pleasant to be around, because most people, like, I don't know, like, when you go to a, one of the dumbest things is, like, if you go to any business that does one thing, you go to a hotel, literally all they do there is check people in all day. But if you go in and you're like, hello, I would like to check into my room because I paid for that room and I would like to be in there because this is a part of my holiday. That's, like, valid, but apparently it's so common that the staff are like, yeah, are you sure? You want to check in to the hotel? And you think you made a booking, do you? Well, I guess I'll look it up if you say so. That sounds like an odd thing to do here. But if you go in with a little bit of extroverted energy, they're like, people are a bit more excited to help you. It's a weird truth that, like, the world wants to help you a bit more. Maybe it's even a depressing truth for, like, people who do not have that. But I think that, being bitten by a rat is not the same as being an extrovert. But I feel like it's kind of the same in that, like, as long as you tell the story funny, you're not looking for sympathy. You're like, yeah, here's a funny thing. You have my permission to laugh, by the way, because it is objectively quite silly, I can admit. I think that's something that, at least at the hospital I was at, they kind of appreciated. So let's now go up and then go here, and then we'll also kind of go, like, up to the right a little bit, and then up to the right a little bit more. And this should eventually create something that resembles something real. I don't know if it will, but look at that. It's just slowly gonna come together. All I want it to look like is a vaguely real end, and then it will look like I've hollowed out a ridiculous portion of my end, and I can make it into a cave or something. I think it'd be a lot of fun, right? Speaking of a lot of fun, chat. I know we got some important stuff to go into. Harrison says, Toy Cat, people think you're ignoring them. And so I want to make sure, by the way, I'm sorry. I know there's a lot to talk about and not that much time. But I want to say hello, everyone. How's it going, Polly? Great to see you here. Good to see you, Jeff. Good to see you, Chantal. It is fun to see, Harrison here too. He is your hero, chat. He is the one, that is, like in part allowing this stream to happen. So I want to make sure that everyone gives, everyone give our regulars a little bit of applause. The reason I want to do these streams kind of is that, to some extent, which is crazy because I sometimes get comments from people being like, oh yeah, I watch every stream, Toy Cat. I never bother commenting because, like, why would I? But I watch every stream and I just want to say, like, oh yeah, here's something I learned from the last one. I just want to say thank you or whatever. And it's like, whoa, yeah, the people I talk to are not all of the people here. It's the craziest, like, bias in the world that kind of is that, like, extrovert effect again, if you want. Like, the people who are talking to me are the people who I assume. I've just turned down my volume. That was the loudest eating I've ever done. The people I see talking to me here, like, look at you all here. Thank you, by the way. I'm not lot of chat, but I'll make my point here. It's crazy to say that, like, anyone who's not chatting, if you want to just quickly drop a word right now, then that'd be cool too, right? I think it's always worth interacting with things on the internet. Even if you're worried that it will never turn into anything, I think the trick is you've got to find it enjoyable for yourself. And sometimes you can find it enjoyable to yourself in a way that's, like, disastrous to everyone else. But find a way that you like interacting with things in the wild. And genuinely, you'll make those things in the wild want to interact with you. And almost you'll make them cater to you too. Like, I read a website that has, like, hundreds of thousands of it has hundreds of thousands of, like, viewers and stuff like that. But, like, I leave a comment every now and then. It's like, oh yeah, I'm one of the 100, despite there being hundreds of thousands of page views a day or whatever, I'm one of the, like, dozens of people who leave a comment if there's something I think I can add, or even, even if it's just like, oh yeah, there's this thing that all of the other comments are doubting is real or whatever. It's like, no, I did this, just so you know. Like, recently, I became an EU citizen recently, chat. A crazy fact. It's such a weird thing, like this trip that I've temporarily taken a break from. I didn't get to use my EU citizenship at all for it. It's crazy. I wanna take advantage. I wanna go through a fast line in a European airport because that's actually one of the dumb things that this is gonna be tricky to connect to, but we're gonna try to do it anyway. I'm gonna start, like, over here just because it's already got some blocks, and we're just gonna follow it upwards and kind of, like, deliberately go for, like, a bit of a weird mess that goes this way and then every now and then goes up that way. And we'll just bring it over there, but much more flat than on the other side. Although, actually, I'll see this much more easily, so I can't go flat perfectly. I'm gonna do what feels and what looks right, and if it doesn't feel or look right, then we'll just pretend I didn't do it. Anyway, so sorry, the story. It's really important to say that, like, so the reason I was on a trip that took me to lots of new countries for the first time. One of those countries being India, and what's crazy is I feel like within travel circles, like, basically everyone says, like, oh yeah, you gotta watch out for, like, basic security, but everywhere's fine. Even, like, pretty wild places, you'll be like, oh yeah, I went to the slums of Rio de Janeiro, but as long as you have your bribe money handy, you just don't have to worry about it. That literally is my brother. Like, he's like, yeah, you don't need a motorbike license to ride a motorbike, you just need the bribes. Like, it's and he was like, look, a bribe every time I'm on holiday is cheaper than getting a real license, so I just do that. Which is kind of crazy, I've got to say. But yeah, actually, that kind of reminds me that this whole extrovert thing is taking me back to the Halo effect. It's kind of a bummer. One of the sad things about making Let's Plays, it's one that went out fairly recently that I really, really liked the idea behind. I had a real life conversation with a creator about it, and they were like, "Oh, I never thought about that. That's really cool. Look at you generating video ideas right here." And I was like, I didn't even think about this as a video idea, but now that you mention it, like, yeah, that is a cool one. And I feel like I did, like, a pretty good job, if I can say so myself. But there's also this crazy thing about making content where the moment you finish saying something is the moment you're like, I bet I could have done that differently. And you can spend forever thinking about that, which is just kind of nuts, right? I think that's the real pain of artistic pursuit, is knowing you could have made something better, and so wanting to do it again, but also knowing that wanting to make something better is what will stop you from making things to begin with. The number of times I've sat there not ready to make a video, the number of times I've sit here pre-stream and I'm like, what am I even doing here? By the way, Chantal says, why can't we see your days played? You know, some odd comments about that today. If you haven't seen, I really like the days played as a way to keep things like, you know, timed in a way. But I also think there are some things that work better as like timeless, if that makes any sense. And I feel like, so, especially now that we hit 7,500 days, like our next milestone is maybe 8,000. Like, chat, what's the next milestone after 7,500? Is it all the way to 10k? I think 8k is like, I'm 80% of the way, but then that's implying that 10,000 is the goal in and of itself, and that is somehow, you know, a noteworthy achievement or thing worth endeavoring for in itself. Like, and I want to always get away from that, because days played in Minecraft can be as real as you like, or, get this, the exact opposite of real. And I know that's disappointing, but somehow it's true anyway. But no, okay, so I think that we should have like a base that starts over there, and then we'll kind of like have it come in between these two things. It's super spooky to fly around the end, by the way, in case you looked at that and thought, wow, Toycat, you know what you're up to. Not in the slightest. Okay, so yeah, I didn't get to use my my EU citizenship on this trip, but I did go to India, and everyone said do not go there. And man, I've got to say, like, in some ways, I think people are right. Definitely is something that really, really explains why it is that I've had to take a little bit of an emergency break in this trip. But speaking of emergency break, I sometimes want to put, like, the emergency brakes on. You know, like, I sometimes want to put the emergency brakes on, like, putting out a video like that and be like, no, 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 no. Let's do it again, but better. And what's crazy is I do actually have the compulsion to do that sometimes. If you'll believe it, if I can tell you something personal, and you can believe me, I know believing people on the internet can be hard, but I think a lot of things, you know, especially there's so many more what you might call lies now, but I think most lies on the internet are low effort. I think that most of the time you can tell the truth from the lie in the sense of like AI or not. I think the biggest like teller is always like, yeah, the reason people are making AI slop or whatever, the reason people are lying for their tweets or whatever, is because a lie is so much easier to come up with than the truth. This is why there's more fiction than non-fiction in the world. You know, things that are interesting are quite few in your life, I find. Like, you know, you ever hear that thing that like, oh yeah, it's less believable than a Disney story or whatever? That is like a real, oh my god, how am I ever meant to get these end stone without just conceding I'm never going to? Like, I don't need it that bad, so I might as well literally just, yeah, let's just do this. Let's just remove some of these blocks, make our life a little bit better, and maybe even get a torch or two while we're at it. But, yeah, I think that, by the way, Harrison, gotta really say, your original tip here, paying huge dividends. I think that so many of the lies on the internet are really, really low value, which is why when I see, like, every now, you know, like, oh yeah, fake stream. Whenever I see people saying that, like, oh, you didn't respond to my comment, therefore this must be fake. You know, even if it's something like, you know, this seems urgent to you, it's like, actually not all the time, right? It's not always fake. I think, and you can usually tell, like, okay, what is the incentive to fake this? Most fake stuff is like, oh, I'm just gonna upload stuff that already exists, pre-recorded. I have a couple of YouTuber friends that are like that. They're like, yeah, I put my videos on a loop and I pre-record and upload them. But I've always thought that's like the worst type of fake stream, because the moment you discover the illusion, you would be like, oh, yeah, okay. What you did here is you didn't want to make content, but you did want to get paid. And it's weird that that is like how my brain thinks. I'm fine. It's weird that that's how my brain thinks, but I kind of always am like on this like level of like, you know, in the same way when I'm talking about reading sites or the YouTubers I follow or whatever else, it's like, yeah, I appreciate that what you're making takes time and effort and attention, but there's some like universally hated things on social media that are weird because in theory they're fine. Like a lot of people who do like Instagram or make funny tweets. They're like, yeah, every year I'll retweet my most successful tweet, and then it will go crazy again. And it's a really good way of getting new subscribers or new followers, or what are they called on Instagram? You know, I should know this. I did say you can follow me on Instagram more than Twitter. No, I didn't say that. I never finished my thought. Wow, finishing thoughts is hard, huh? Which is why I struggled with the Halo Effect video, because I spoke about how Java Edition is basically kept around because it's Minecraft's Halo. You think about Minecraft Java, even though most people play Minecraft Bedrock, it's a huge way for them to, you know, like, change the psychology of the game. But there's so much more to the Halo Effect and how it works, and there's so many, like, fun examples of it. And I think, like, my favorite thing is, like, once you learn how a rule works, everyone knows this, you can see some of the weird permutations in how this applies to our thinking. And so, here's a dumb one. If there's this weird study they did, where two people, they asked random strangers to kind of evaluate two people's sets of crime. Are we streaming good? We are streaming good. Also, sorry about that. Least of the issues people are having in chat, but it's fine. I've got to say that, like, one of the funniest, like, effects is, you know, that kind of comes off this, is that if you give a person two crimes, and so, because a lot of people know the Halo Effect is like, oh yeah, people assume attractive people are less likely to have done something bad, but here's something crazy about how deep that extends in our psychology. If you tell people, okay, here are two crimes, we want to give them appropriate sentences, and they describe crime one as a woman who broke into someone's house and stole $2,200, you know, by you know, like, getting their key or something while they weren't looking. And the other one was a woman who, you know, used an attraction confidence scam to swindle $2,200 out of someone by them putting it in a company that doesn't exist. It's both very dishonest deprivation of money. There's no, you know, I know people that do the bad stuff like to believe they're not as bad as other people who do bad stuff. You know, I'm a YouTuber, trust me. I know how that works, but, you know, I know that this is how people like to believe. But at the same time, even though that's what we like to say, it's also kind of like, yeah, but if you really made me be objective, I would pretend different. But even just imagining a woman who's attractive enough to trick you out of money, you're like, well, she's not all bad, is she? She's not the worst thing in the world. Also, I can't believe it took until now to realize, but you're right. I should go and use a Happy Ghast. I have one flying around for this very purpose. I mean, in the wrong area. Let's go put some glass underneath my end. I've got the spare glass here anyway. Where is my Happy Ghast? I genuinely do not know. Okay, I had a Happy Ghast in the end. At some point, there was a Ghast and she was happy. Hey, there we go. Perfect. So, yeah, here is the... honestly, I love Happy Ghasts as an idea. Is this the noise of a Happy Ghast? Is she making minecart sounds right now? Is this real? Is this meant to happen? Am I crazy here, chat? Are you hearing this? Okay, I feel like I'm being gaslit. You know, Minecraft is going through a high-effort scam to convince me that this is meant to be happening, and always has been, even though I've never heard it before. I'm not sure I trust it. Okay, so you can see how now this whole End Island is coming into effect. I actually kind of like it, and especially with all of these extra blocks that I've mined. It'll make the whole thing a bit better. It makes it a bit of a shame that I've done it in this way, but it'll work out later. Most of the blocks I've removed still have purpose, because they'll make the end result of what I'm making even better. Oh, by the way, there's so much glass I still need to place underneath my end, so technically I could use this as my opportunity to do that. Maybe we could say. Okay, so let's go. Let's make it happen. Speaking of making things happen, yeah, I recently went to India. It was a wild time, and yeah, every one of my friends was like, "Yeah, you could skip it." Wasn't a massive fan of that, and I wonder, like, is this a sign that I've gone old, or is this like, you know, India's a place you travel, but you got to be like, you know, it's not traveling in the normal traditional sense. Like, it's a whole different world to learn. Because they're kind of disconnected from, like, a lot of world systems on purpose. It's something, it's one of the weird things about how countries work. That, like, yeah, there's a lot of international systems you're just expected to be a part of. And if you're not, you know, there are actually big benefits for you to do that. But also, it makes other people, you know, it therefore results in, like, oh, you go to China and they don't have, like, Visa, MasterCard everywhere. They usually accept it in tourist-expecting places. But it's like, oh, you don't have Union Pay? You don't have WeChat? And it's like, wait, so your WhatsApp alternative is also how you pay for stuff? And they're like, yeah, WeChat. It's, you're not a fan of that? You don't have your WeChat on you? Well, how are you going to pay for this coffee? Okay, we'll work out something. There's a lot of funny things around the world like that. And I'm sure there's, like, equivalents of, like, you know, if you go to America for the first time, it's like, oh, you don't have your Schmeeble card? You're not going to park your car? You're not gonna put the blurble blocks in the Bliggle machine so you can wiggle your car out there in the end? It's kind of weird. Anyway, so yeah, the halo effect is really interesting because it literally works in our perception, but also our perception then this like led me into the less is more concept, where the more is less concept. Less is more is a artistic term. I don't know if I agree with it, but it's what people say. The more is less phenomenon is the idea that sometimes if you give people more of something, but it is perceived as less in other ways, we perceive, like, the easiest example is if someone gives you 24 dinner plates and they're all in perfect condition, that's a nice gift. If someone gives you 31 dinner plates, the exact same 24 plus 7 others, but then in the same box, there's 7 broken ones, even though you've gotten the same amount of good stuff, you've gotten more good stuff if we're being, you know, fair and honest with ourselves. Even though we got the same amount of stuff in there, a lot of people will go like, oh, you know, that's nice, I guess. Thank you for the gift. Must have been hard for you to do that. Bit weird that it's broken though, huh? You know, maybe don't be so violent with the box next time on the way here. I kind of like my gifts to still be gifts when I get them. Which, you know, it's a bit of a weird thing, but, like, you know, people will be nice about that. But the way it works is so bizarre to me that, like, our psychology can know that something is better, but still feel so much worse about that thing. I think that another weird example of this, the one that, like, really, like, sticks with me is Five Guys. This is, like, one of the biggest, like, lies in psychology. But it like, Five Guys, if you've never been, they have 3 sizes of fries. They've got small, medium, and large. And they will straight up tell you a small is enough for 2 people. A small, like, I hate when people are like, Five Guys is so expensive. And they get a full-sized bacon cheeseburger and fries, the large fries, because they're used to McDonald's, where large fries is the expected amount. Supersize me. It's like, no. You're at Five Guys. Genuinely look this up. A large Five Guys fries, that's your day's calories for, like, you know, 40-50% of the human population. And for the other 50%, it's a substantial portion still. You should not be eating that many Five Guys. I mean, like, I'm not your dietitian, I'm not your dentist, I'm not your orthodontist. I'm not your vet. I'm not your tire fitter. I'm not your hotel check-in worker. Am I even your streamer? Is a question you might be asking at this point. But I think that, like, you know, all of these, you know, like, things are people you should maybe consult about that. But you don't get the large at Five Guys. You get the small, because here's the trick. They give you a little cup for fries at Five Guys, and then after they fill the cup, it's a pretty big cup. It's like half the size of this, I'd say. Once they fill your cup, do you know what they do then? Once they filled it, they just pour it in the bag, and then they fill the cup again. And at first, this seems like, oh yeah, Five Guys, and it's such a big win. And no matter how often I tell myself, like, you know, like, that's just the normal. It's part of their brand standards. If you go to a Five Guys and they don't do that, you can complain to the manager, and the manager will get you your extra cup of... Like, that is how deep of a level... That's, like, how deeply integrated it is I guess what I'm trying to say. Like, it is a Five Guys standard to make sure you get your scoop and a half. But at the same time, it feels like the most generous place in the world. Maybe because you set your mind to it being generous, and it's... Like, once you've told the world someone has been generous to you, it's really hard to undo that. I think this is how, like, Temu works, the lies of Temu, if you will. And so, yeah, I think that a lot of... once you believe someone has been generous to you, it's really hard to believe the opposite is true. I think this is a lot of, like, sales psychology is based around this. And I think that is why, first of all, you know, it's one of the hard things about, like, true honesty in the world is that, like, a lot of people will prefer someone who is slightly dishonest, but then is honest about their dishonesty, than someone who is honest the entire way through. There's all sorts of like, hello, friend. Goodbye, friend. It was nice to see you, but you are getting in the way here. I could... Oh, okay, that's bad. That is objectively not good. I've got to remember to, like, torch up my stuff as I go along. So, yeah, you can see where our end island is vaguely coming together here. But I think we should focus before on the walls. We should do the ground down here. So he can't get me from here, right? Yep, he's gone. Not my problem anymore. Yeah, I feel like there's some weird effects where our brain just kind of works like that. And that's what I think, you know, like counteracting those effects is like maybe less important for Five Guys, but it's something worth thinking about on the internet in general, about why it is that we feel like certain ways about certain things. And it's something at least personally, it's something I put a lot of work into, like, either both countering, but also thinking seriously, like, but then also, why is that, you know? I think understanding how you work is way more important than anything else. And understanding what is, you know, like, truth, what is illusion, is also really worth looking into, really worth thinking about. I think that there's so much of the world that kind of runs on this weird vibe. Anyway, sorry, I think that all of that came up while I was just trying to say, oh yeah, some Let's Plays recently. So I have a lot of Let's Plays, you know, like the pre-recorded Let's Plays that I've been putting up recently, and I'm glad that you know, people enjoy them. There is a audience for those, and it makes me feel nice and fuzzy on the inside knowing that people care. Because this is a hugely important world to me, and knowing, like, I kind of mention this a lot, and it's silly, and I'll concede it's silly, yeah, it's fine, but, like, I love working on this world, and I know that, like, you know, a lot of my job being a Minecraft YouTuber isn't just, oh, playing survival Minecraft, it's like working out ways to help you in survival Minecraft, effectively. But it's still cool to, like, you know, be able to play this, to share the things about it, etc, etc. Okay, so this is you know, we're half an hour into the live stream, by the way. I'm sorry that my short time with you is being taken up by so much of the fun things that we've, like, not been able to talk about. Like, this sounds silly too, but, like, my brain, if I spend too long away from YouTube, it starts lighting up with, like, topics I'd like to talk about. The whole reason I have the third channel, effectively, is because when I'm traveling, sometimes I'm like, this is something I think would be a cool Let's Play topic. And so I started making those walk and talks. Ran into some, like, weird issues of the, like, putting of those together, etc. Have to mention. But yeah, by the way, good to see you, Adam Sony. Hope you're great. Sorry that I missed that one earlier. I hear that thing. I imagine having 19 children takes up a lot of your time. So thank you for spending some with us here today. Okay, so I think this is definitely... I think we got to get a bit more endstone first. But you can see the amount of endstone we now have to get has gone down dramatically by deciding to incorporate some of this into our island. And then also, we've got a place to use that same endstone that I'm getting by going to this island. I love stuff that works like that. I love a little bit of what you might call a synergy. And we got some good synergy here today, let me tell you. Okay, so speaking of good synergy... Yeah, so chat, you know, the hospital story was kind of a relevant one earlier. Because, yeah, I think that, you know, for many people who... If you didn't hear that bit of the story earlier, by the way, I did actually have it was a fun story involving a rat. But sadly, I won't be telling it to you today. Because instead, I'd like to tell you about, like, I've been... a lot of people will tell me, like, hey, Toycat, how are you always traveling? You know, even today, I've been like, oh, well, Toycat, can't believe you're always traveling. And it is part of what contributes to the guilt feeling of, like, oh, yeah, do people really think that? That, like, you know, this YouTube channel is the side hustle for me traveling all the time? And I think that a part of it is kind of the... It's one of the, like, flaws in what we might call, like, our mental heuristics. Heuristics are, like, heuristics is the term for, like, your brain's instant decision-making, where... Even though you... Oh, that was weird. Even though you know that your instinctive decision-making is wrong, if you were to really ask scientifically, just like about the attractive woman, you would know, just because you describe her as attractive, it doesn't make her any more innocent, but you then picture her as innocent anyway, despite no extra information being available. A similar, like, heuristic, so that's like a heuristic, right? Your brain is like, if they are attractive, they probably have done less evil, or intend to do less evil, or whatever the case may be. I'm going to check that I am still going. Okay, we're good. Hello, everyone. Good to see you here. And so, a lot of people's heuristic is like, oh, Toycat, you're always traveling. Like, I mean, clearly not right now, because of the big thing that I need to mention here. But, like, yeah, a lot of people believe, like, oh, so Toycat, you're always traveling. And the reason they believe that is because, like, yeah, the normal person goes on holiday once a year. You know, maybe for a 2-week holiday, maybe for a 1 week, maybe not even that. But, like, like, I spend a lot of, like, 2 days here, 2 days there. And even if I travel, like, like a full 4 weeks a year, I don't know if that's true. I haven't done the maths. Honestly, in my life, I would love it if I was traveling as much as people like to imagine I am. But I do have a job, even if it is making YouTube videos and or streaming to the internet. Which I did come back here to do, only partially of my own accord. But it'll all tie in together. Trust me, it'll all make sense. I want to explain to you how I've managed to be here today. But it all requires this, right? It requires all the things that have been going through my head. You can strap in, you can lock in for the stream. It's gonna get there, and you'll be like, oh, I get it. It all makes sense. It all makes sense. So yeah, I'm sorry to anyone who feels personally targeted right now, but I feel like the idea of a heuristic is like, we make like these broad, so like we'll say like, oh yeah, they are attractive, they probably did no wrong, or like, oh yeah, I've seen him, I feel like he's gone back from a trip like 5 times since I've been watching his streams, and I only watch the streams like twice a week. So, like, that must mean that he's traveling, like, millions of times. Or even just, like, oh, yeah, like, he said he can't stream for a week because he's traveling, and then he said that again. Most streamers don't announce that stuff. They just say, I am taking a break. And then what they're doing is for them to interpret, or you to interpret. But in the case of me, and in the case of this stream, it is very much like a... Also, I don't think I'm getting the full benefit of the beacon if it's over there and I'm over here. I should go back over there. Oh, okay, I looked at an enemy again. But yeah, so I feel like a similar one I hear about a lot is, do you ever hear that like all celebrities have plastic surgery nowadays? I've heard a similar thing about Ozempic, to be fair. Like, I think Oprah announced, like, I came off Ozempic and I lost weight. And everyone's like, yeah, that proves Ozempic is dumb. And it's like, well, I had a discussion with like family about this, and they're like, yeah, I think Ozempic's probably bad for you. We don't know about the downsides, and so every time like a downside comes out, people are like excited about it. I think there's this real like media problem where we're so excited. Like, to this day, people are out there who are still like, yeah, Spartan meat, really bad for you. It's like, we haven't proven that it's objectively good for you, and we've also proven that if you have enough to kill, like, a small rat, if you have the equivalent of, like, 300, drinks of Diet Coke in a day, that might give you kidney failure. And it's like, okay, but, like, if you drink 300 Cokes in a day, you're gonna fail so many other organs. Also, you drink so much water that you get, I think is it called a brain bleed? I don't understand why, but if you drink, like, 8 liters of water, your brain starts to bleed. And that's going to tie into what I might have done while I was... anyway, but like while I was in a little bit of in a country where the water has some funky issues. But anyway, I think that like this like heuristic decision making is why you might think that as celebrities are all on plastic surgery. Like, oh, they have that plastic surgery face. It's like they don't all have the plastic surgery face. You can just recognize it when it's really noticeably bad. You know, like, most of your friends don't have plastic surgery, and so they don't have bad plastic surgery face. But, like, within, you know, like, I think about this a lot of, like, oh, yeah, everyone feels like they're on Ozempic, because, like, yeah, 1 in 5 people might be, and, you know, if you hear about that, you're like, wow, what are they doing on this that I'm not? It brings into this, like, big question about, like, you know, what if we change Ah! Oh, that is a relief, let me tell you. So I'm going to try and land on this island. I do have to get rid of it. I mean, I could keep it, but I won't. And then I'm also going to put a torch on this island here. And then I'm going to fly up. There we go. Oh, yeah, that'll get the soul going, let me tell you. You know what else will get the soul going, though? Yeah, this idea about heuristics that we, like, will just apply... you know, like, okay, should you trust someone? It's such a weird decision that you just make so instinctively based on things you don't even, like, fully understand. So, I met with, they were the first trans soldier in the US military. It's just a fun thing I want to mention, because it was generally, someone reached out to me, like, no, actually, yeah, someone reached out to me and was like, you mentioned that you were going to be in Minnesota. I live in Minnesota. You know, like, you can, like, I would love to, you know, like, show you around. And I was like, this is a weird thing, but I looked into their name because, like, they were like, they had an odd email address. I was like, oh yeah, their name shows them as this. And, I thought it was weird, first of all, because they mentioned, like, oh yeah, they took a lot of YouTubers around this town. There was a big convention there, to be fair, so I was like, okay, already kind of odd, first of all. Like, yeah, their favorite thing is showing Minecraft YouTubers the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. You know, everyone has their own desires. I think honestly, whenever a YouTuber says they're in London, I'm always like, you know, I think it'd be fun to show someone from, especially like YouTube culture. Like, I know that means you don't spend a lot of time learning about what happens in other countries. I think I like teaching them a thing or two about what happens here. So maybe that's just how it is here too. So I'm gonna have a couple of these, chat, just to make that look a little bit prettier. I'm sure no one will ever go under there and appreciate them. But if they do, they'll be like, wow, I guess this is a real end island, not a fake one. But, yeah, I think we should go down another block, by the way, but I'll think about that as we get there. I think this like heuristic idea is that we just kind of instinctively make a decision. And after I met them, oh yeah, chill. Someone I totally don't mind hanging around with. I don't think they were going to kill me. But then I mentioned, like, Girl Scout cookies offhandedly, and they're like, you know, they're out of season, but I have some at my house. And like, can we go back to my house and I'll grab them? I was like, yeah, sure. And we went back to their house. I gotta say there, right? No, that would be wrong. I guess we went back to her house, and after we went back to her house, it was in a really, like, fine area, but I just immediately was like, no, if you go in there, I cannot eat those cookies. She's like, you can come in. And I'm like, I can't go in your house, and I can't eat the cookies from those like, it's such a weird thing. I was like, rationally, I want to be so polite. This person has been so loved me all day. I don't know why. I don't honestly understand. But despite their loveliness, and despite the fact that socially, I know that I should take the cookies, and you know, like, I should just eat a couple and go, yeah, it really tastes like Thin Mint. I was like, I can't do it. I'm not going to physically be able to eat those cookies if you try. If you want me to, if you give me those cookies, it's a waste for both of us. So don't do that. And we did have a tiny bit of a chat. She's like, yeah, really? And I was like, yeah, I don't know why. But if you go in there, I can't do anything about that. And it was like kind of a bummer, because I really did want to try out these cookies. I hope that you'll believe me, internet. I'm not sure if she did. But yeah, it was like, again, she was wonderful. Totally trusted her to drive me everywhere and like show me some places, etc., etc. But and I thought that I could eat cookies from her house. I wanted to try these cookies so bad. It was a really safe suburban area. Like, I feel like we can make some comments about that, I think, by itself. But like, I think like it was a really safe suburban area. There was nothing in this that should have made me go like, oh no, but just something deep inside me. And it's like, yeah, that's a heuristic. It's the same way that, like, I don't know, some people, literally people don't get this, but like, some people don't feel safe if they hear people talking a foreign language on public transport. And it's like, that's like racist. People come from all around the world. They have different languages. Like, that's ridiculous, right? It's what people will say if you're being rational. But it's like, no, it's irrational to be like, why do they get to hear what we're saying, but we don't get to hear what they're saying? And there's a lot of, like, irrational things we have inside of us that are like that a bit, where we'll go like, oh yeah, even though we don't understand it, something is just a bit wrong. And it's kind of annoying that you can't fight that irrationality with a rational response, because a rational response just isn't going to get you anywhere. A rational response isn't going to solve the fact that, like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, you know, like there's a lot of things in life that aren't governed by rationality, and that's kind of upsetting, right? Like I'm such a believer in a rational world. I'm such a believer in a world where everyone does things that make perfect sense. And for the most part, you can kind of work around this. That like, oh yeah, if this, like, I feel like, you know, like AI made it a bit harder, but now it just means like, yeah, you've got to trust, now you've got to like know a creator, you know, a little bit better to know like, oh yeah, this probably isn't AI. This is some random person. This is some random meme account. They have no interest in whether you care. Like, you know, if someone is trying to build a brand, then they're probably not going to use AI. If someone is literally just a slop account that is there to post as much as possible, as fast as possible, they probably don't care, you know? I think, like, that is the new reality we have to move into. We have to make these heuristics ourselves on the internet. And it's kind of weird because I was thinking about this even in regards to, like, you know, like when you trust someone, you also like, even though we have all these biases that we can reveal, like, yeah, for some reason, receiving a 31-piece dinner set with 7 broken pieces is worse than receiving a 24-piece dinner set. Or for some reason, receiving a cup twice as big is worse than receiving a cup half as big, but then them filling it twice. It doesn't make any sense, and we've got to like kind of get it. And so I would say, you know, my ultimate thing is sometimes you have to work out, like, okay, do I need to know the difference? I think there's a weird argument. I don't know why I can't buy into it, but, like, I saw a video. I was looking for an opossum falling over. Opossums aren't an animal we have in the UK, but I see memes about how they play dead. Or I've seen memes. I don't know if I see a lot of them. Is that my happy gas up there? Perfect. I see memes about them playing dead. So I was looking at videos of them playing dead, and I saw a really good one. And then I saw that I noticed it was like AI, and I was like conceivable that like, oh, maybe it's like not, and maybe it's like, but it was like, yeah, it ruined my enjoyment a little bit. And I see a lot of top comments on like Reddit posts for like funny videos being like, it sucks that now you can't tell if a video, like, you know, back in 2015, if you see a YouTube video that says 2015, you know 0% chance someone using, you know, Gemini or anything else like that to make it. And there's something like nice about that, right? But also there was so much fake stuff back then anyway. And so there's a weird thing that, like, if someone at least puts the effort into faking something, then I prefer seeing that than if someone has put it into a machine to get the machine to fake it. And I don't know why that is. Like, I remember back in the early days of YouTube, there was this idea of, like, YouTube pranks. It was a huge type of content where you would, air quotes, prank people. And a lot of these pranks were really not wholesome. They were what you might describe as basically harassment, but recorded onto the internet. And it was popular, so people kept doing it. I want to say I get it, but I literally do not get it. So that, you know, like a lot of YouTuber stuff is just harassment, but like a lot of YouTube prank stuff was harassment, but sold as, you know, like, oh, but it's fine because the harassment is funny. And so then, like, the harassment turned into quickly, like, oh, we'll fake harass people. And then we'll get, like, fake reactions for, like, you know, if you want to give $10,000 to a homeless person, way better to just fake giving it to a fake homeless person and then give them $100 at the end. Like, there's so many... People realize that you can make the same thing, but even that would be better than an AI video, right? And that's weird. Isn't that strange? They're both fake, but there's different types of fake. For some reason, high-effort fake is more enjoyable than low-effort fake, even if you know it's fake going into it. Which is why, you know, we can watch Game of Thrones, or we can watch... I watched Pluribus recently. That's a TV show I really recommend. If you're looking for something to dig your teeth into, and you love, like, alternate... If you love, like, fascinating world sci-fi, Pluribus, I can't talk too much about it. I genuinely think the best way to go into it is semi-blind. So... Mute for the next minute if you don't want to hear this. Seriously, mute for the next minute. I'm about to spoil the premise of Pluribus. Pluribus is in a world where there's an alien signal, and once humans receive this alien signal, it causes them to kind of activate a hive mind functionality where all humans can understand what all other humans are up to. So it's basically like aliens invade the Earth, but as all people. And so there's this fascinating world of like, the aliens have all taken over, but they're really, really nice. They cannot hurt people, they can't lie. And so they've got this like really nefarious motive, but they're nice about it. And it's like got all these like allegories like how the church works and stuff. It's like a really, really it's really fascinating. You can see like they make really compelling points for like, oh yeah, it's really nice like being a part of this. And then it comes back to it and you're like, oh no, you can see what the creators think. I think the last episode, the first scene, I won't say anymore. My god, it's like haunting. But like hauntingly good, if I can say such a thing. If you believe that such a thing exists, at least. So yeah, let's try and have this go over to there. We'll start nice and low down and bring it up high. And again, I think the bottom of this island is probably the hardest bit to get right. So if we get that, we can probably get everything. Anyway, yeah, I've been watching a lot of, I've been reading a little bit recently too. I find getting reading into a routine is really hard, except when I'm traveling. Obviously, when I'm having the time like I'm having traveling, can be a little trickier yet. But yeah, I think maybe is it time to get into that? Yeah, okay. I'm not the only one who thinks so. Apparently, chat. Okay, so I was on a trip, and it was gonna be a really good trip. I've had these big plans to circumnavigate the world for a while, as I'm sure you all know. But on this big trip, I was starting to think to myself, like, isn't it a real shame that, like, you know, while I'm gone, there's no streams? I can do a lot of other stuff like in advance, and sometimes people really like that advanced content more than they like other stuff, which I think is like chill. It's cool. It's awesome. But oh, we're gonna have to really like take a risk here. I do not know how much glass is below me, but I'm gonna find out, I guess. Okay, so we'll place some enderstone here, and then up there, and have that connect up. And we're just trying to make this make some sense. As tricky as that obviously is going to be. Okay, so just connect this into that now. There we go. Just easy peasy. All coming together, I see. But yeah, I was on a trip and I was thinking like, it's a shame that there's no like, it's really is a shame that there's no like way to fill this in. And I'll be honest, it's a bit of a like dangerous thought, because one of the beauties of the live stream is how it is genuinely. I was trying to think like, so what are the beauties of the live stream? What are the things that make it so special to me and to everyone who's here today? Who, again, we on fairly short notice, you know, didn't think there was gonna be a stream for 3 weeks, but I think it's cool to like have this little semi-religious experience, you know, this like covering this congregation. But I also feel like a big part of it is the genuine like, oh yeah, it is happening as it's happening, and who's to say what it is? So I might have done something, chat. I might have decided. I don't know if you'll believe this, but I decided that it would be fun to not just do the thing where you take a bunch of your content and you know, you just smush it all together, where it's clear that like, yeah, this isn't anything but trying to trick me into engaging for the sake of a little more ad revenue. No. I wanted to make something that would make you go, oh, wow, what and why? And so I sat down again. The way I managed to be here today is while I was putting together the next phase of my trip, I figured that, you know, a full 3 weeks with no stream was something that needed to be avoided. And so I figured we would put this whole thing together, and as a result, we have this live stream special experience. But is it the same? Even if I do everything I can, even if I concede straight to your face that yes, I wanted this is the truest I could get it, But actually, no. I think it's better. I think it's better if I say, yeah, effectively, you were bamboozled. This stream was a trick, an illusion. But at the same time, was it? Was it not a cool opportunity where we all got to be here? Was it not an opportunity for me to have spent a little time lurking in the background there of chat? I think that it is. But then that really raises the question of what is a live stream. And to avoid getting too Bill Clinton about it, I'd like to say that I really appreciated you coming along to this live stream today. It was a very special one. And the reason I have no time is that I have been rapidly putting together videos for while I'm gone. And it is currently 11:30 as I finish this. But I wanted to make sure that we had our own little special moment. And I think you'll find that I got you as a result. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And I'll see you in the next one, which will hopefully be live. I certainly hope so. But yeah, this is a real project. This is the real world. And this is everything you might have seen coming. And hopefully, seeing this big reveal has been fun to you. But if it hasn't been, well, we'll have a lot of fun catching it when we're next back, huh? This is my first phase of my end build out. I look forward to seeing you for phases 2 through the rest. But for now, I'll see you next time. Have a good rest. Fun, huh? Ooh. Man, I have a confession to make. I think that was all a joke. No, it wasn't. Oh. This is in fact not real. Or is that what I would say if this was all a big bit? To lure you into the next Let's Play where we talk about... Anyway. Thank you, and goodbye.